They say smartwatches aren't for everyone. But that's still not stopping Samsung from creating smartwatches that would make even the least likely person join the smartwatch bandwagon. Introducing the new Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, Samsung's contender and possibly the best smartwatch right now. If you're coming from a more entry-level smartwatch, the moment you hold the Watch 5 Pro will make you realize how premium this actually feels. This titanium body feels really solid to hold. I think the design falls right in the middle of a smartwatch and a sports watch. Sporting rubber straps with a magnetic clasp, if you're doing workouts, that won't get in the way with its end resting inside the band. It's also extremely easy to replace if you prefer to swap it with something to match your outfit. This does come in two color variants, with one being the titanium colored body and this one in black. There's obviously a lot of effort that went into designing this watch, considering how simple it actually looks. Just look how perfectly distributed its weight is on a desk when you rest it for charging, and tell me if that doesn't scream polished. The display orientation even shifts on its side as if it's assuming that the user would be looking at this from this angle. Durability-wise, I haven't been very gentle with this watch, or I guess any watch for that matter, and this holds up pretty well. I think the only time that I take this off is when I wash dishes or hop in the shower, and that's mainly for hygienic purposes and not because I'm afraid to get this wet. And for that, there's IP68 dust and water resistance, which means you're probably all set getting in the pool with this. You also shouldn't worry about getting this display scratched with the sapphire glass protecting it. A much superior glass than the Gorilla Glass commonly used in other smartwatches. Now that we've mentioned that glass, the AMOLED display is also pretty nice. I like how well proportioned this is, with its edges being slightly raised. It's also very easy to see once it activates, with the only exception being when you're under direct sunlight, which you will still see, just with a bit more effort. In other smartwatches, they offer you watch faces to choose from. On the Galaxy Watch series, not only do you get choices, but you get to customize most of them to your liking. Change the hands, the dial, and other parts of the watch face, with some even integrating more functionality like this compass. Just like other smartwatches, this is packed with plenty of health features. It gets the usuals like heart rate sensors, sleep tracker, blood oxygen sensor, and we won't go into each detail in this review, but what I can say is, I had a shot of whiskey at an event recently, and the watch said that raised my heart rate above average, so I guess that already says it's pretty accurate, which is great if you're really into monitoring your health. I wasn't able to use the blood pressure sensor though, and I don't know if that's because sadly I do not have a Samsung phone to pair this with, or if it's a region compatibility thing in the Philippines, so that's a bit unfortunate. Now for its other hardware, right away I've noticed that there's something different with its vibration feedback, and I think that's because there's a number of patterns that you could choose from. It can do vibrations like a door knock, a heartbeat, or even like a galloping horse. And if that's not enough, you can also go further with sound notifications where there's a ton of tones to choose from. You also can actually send messages directly from this, provided you're using Google Messages as your default messaging app from your host device. And it's not just preset messages this time, but you literally get a small keyboard to type on. It is a bit difficult to use on a tiny screen, but it's nice to be able to do that if that's what you prefer. But among most features, a big standout has to be the Wi-Fi connectivity, and this is running Wear OS with Samsung's One UI on top of it. Meaning, this is directly connected to Google, which gets you access to Google's Play Store to get apps and watch faces. Now you might be wondering, what benefit could this possibly give on a smartwatch? Well, basically, you can run this independently without needing to connect to your phone and just download and install whatever on its internal storage. There are apps like games, and some other useful ones like fitness apps, Spotify, or alternative apps to the ones that you already have in the watch. The OS on the Watch 5 Pro also feels very polished. Unlike other watches which lets you scroll using a crown, you can easily go around swiping your finger around the edge of this display to scroll through menus. This feels so much more intuitive compared to having to go back and forth between a physical crown and a display. There are also two physical buttons, the home and the back button, and both are assignable. And yes, you can actually do multitasking on this, much like a phone. Just set the back button to show the recent apps list and you're pretty much good to go. Another standout feature is the built-in GPS. And you might think, aren't there a lot of GPS-enabled watches already? Well, this one isn't crippled on its functionality. This gives you turn-by-turn navigation assistance and the full map function, or basically the same GPS navigation experience that you would get on your phone. It's super convenient, especially when you're walking or driving around unfamiliar places. There's no need for you to pick up your phone to actually see where you are headed. Moving on to battery life, this might be the aspect which really caught me by surprise. For a watch with so much functionality, this got me about 4 days when I was being disciplined with my use. And 2 whole days with most of everything on, including the always on display. That's more than triple the battery life of other watches at this level. Though charging wasn't the best, it was acceptable at around 2 hours when plugged to my laptop. And bear in mind that you do need to use your own USB-C charger since this only comes with the cradle. I know I probably sound like a total fanboy in this review, and that's because after using the Watch 5 Pro for a while, I think I kind of consider myself to be one. But is it enough to make me consider this to be the best smartwatch right now? That still depends. If we factor in the titanium build, customizability, Wear OS, wireless connectivity, sapphire glass, superb battery life, and the price that this is being offered, I can honestly say this might just top the list. Right now, I actually couldn't imagine myself going back to other smartwatches. So, I guess that's my answer. But what about you guys? Would you consider getting the Watch 5 Pro? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Oh, and also, if you're into more smartwatches, check out this next video about a more affordable smartwatch. I'll see you guys in the next one.